Hey guys, quickly before I start the video, I just wanted to give a huge thank you for all of the support on my last video. I'd also like to welcome the 100+ new subscribers to the nest, so really welcome all of you, I appreciate it so much, and let's get into it. Hello friends, acquaintances, and enemies of all ages, my name is Justin and this is my review for the game, Cuphead. Cuphead is a game developed and published by Studio MDHR Entertainment. It released just a couple weeks ago on September 29th, 2017. It's a run-and-gun platforming game that brings the genre back to its roots, and in more ways than one. The story of this game is very simple. You play as Cuphead, a fun-loving, young boy cup thing that lives with his brother, Mugman, and the one that brought them both up, the wise Elder Kettle. Now, Cuphead and Mugman have a bit of a gambling habit, which results in the two of them going to the Devil's Casino. That's right, the devil himself owns this casino. They begin to go on a win streak when suddenly the devil asks them to raise the stakes. For one roll of the dice, if they win, they get all of the loot in his casino. If they lose, he gets their souls. Captivated by the thought of all the money and treasure he could ever want, Cuphead goes to roll the dice. Mugman tries to stop him, but to no avail. Cuphead ends up rolling Snake Eyes, one of the worst possible rolls they could have gotten. With this, Cuphead and Mugman make a deal with the devil in exchange for not losing their souls. Becoming debt collectors, they must go and collect the soul contracts of others who owe the devil. With this agreement, the devil sends them on their way. The visuals of Cuphead are inspired by 1930s cartoonists of the era, with artists such as Mac Fleischer, whose studio-created series such as Betty Boop and Popeye. The art for this game has beautiful hand-drawn animation, and it's this dedication to keeping the style true to its inspiration that really lets it shine. Now, this visual style wouldn't have as great of an effect without the wonderful audio production it has as well. With time-appropriate songs, Cuphead opens with a barbershop quartet singing his story, and every single boss, as well as every run-and-gun level, has its own unique track, all of which sound wonderful in their own right. Now, once the game starts, you head directly into the overworld. This acts as sort of an RPG-style hub for levels. You can walk around and speak to the townsfolk, go to the shop, or access the levels currently available. This is where Cuphead shows its two main forms of levels. You have boss levels, where you fight a boss directly, right off the bat, gaining its soul contract if you defeat it, and then you have run-and-gun levels where you must get from point A to point B without losing all of your health. After defeating a boss, a new area in the hub world will open up. Now, you don't have to beat every single boss to continue, but in a game like this where the main content is the bosses, I highly encourage fighting every single one. Cuphead's controls are tight and responsive, something that is really a necessity with these types of games. Press X to fire, A to jump, and Y to dash. It's all very simple, really. There's also an interesting mechanic called parrying, where you can bounce off of anything that's glowing pink on the screen. This can be used to help avoid attacks, traverse obstacles, and in some cases the game has entire fights based around this mechanic. Note that those levels are my personal favorites. Aside from that, it really comes down to two things. Shoot the bad guy till he dies, and try not to die yourself. You have a basic weapon you start out with called the pea shooter, but as you collect coins in the run-and-gun levels in the overworld, you can purchase more weapons from the shop. These were fun to mess around with, and were better in various situations, but it did feel to me like the pea shooter was always my go-to. It has no range downside, and the damage just feels so consistent. You can also purchase a small passive effect in the form of a charm. These can give you extra hit points at the cost of damage, make it so your super meter is always charging, and help you achieve parries a little bit easier. Cuphead certainly has a charm in its gameplay, an addicting feeling of wanting to achieve something, the desire to finally beat something that was difficult. And that's one of the best things about it. It really makes me happy to be playing something that doesn't hold your hand. Cuphead is a relatively difficult game, but without ever feeling unfair. When you die, you know it's your own fault. You know you could have reacted sooner, played better, gotten farther. And it's that level of difficulty that I love. The kind that makes you want to be better, not to prove anything to anyone else, just to prove it to yourself that you are capable of doing it. A feeling very reminiscent of Super Meat Boy for me. One flaw I can think of is in the fact that most of the charms feel generally balanced, all with their own little downsides, but there is one called Smoke Bomb that turns you invisible and makes it so you cannot take damage during your dash. The technical downside here would be that it's harder to see where your character is dashing to, and you can't grab the coins during your dash, but these are very small inconveniences, and you get used to the dash distance pretty quickly into learning the game. The Smoke Bomb charm felt too good not to be used, so it's what I went with for my entire first playthrough. I then went back and played through the game again without using it, and it certainly adds a little bit of an extra difficulty. The load times are also surprisingly long for loading a level up or switching between areas in the hub world. Nothing too bad, but who wouldn't prefer they be a little quicker, right? Aside from that, I wasn't a huge fan of the hub world option they went with in general, Maybe that's just because I've always preferred a typical level select for these types of games, as going back to get a higher grade or practicing a fight can be a little tedious when they're 3 or 4 loading screens away, depending on where you're at, of course. So overall, Cuphead really did nail everything it was striving for. It has great gameplay, great visual style, a great soundtrack, and is just a generally fun game all around. I know I'll be going back to try to get the highest grade on every level in the near future, and I'd recommend this game to anyone who is a fan of platformers or 2D shooters. I personally give Cuphead 8.5 ghostly eyeballs out of 10. Hey guys, thank you so much for watching the video. Once again, I want to thank you all for the immense support on the last video, and if you want to keep up with all my future videos, consider subscribing to join the nest. Thanks again, and have a wonderful rest of your day.